HIV is like less of an impact on your life now than diabetes. It's the same reason you don't want to see a doctor in the first place. You might not want to walk into the pharmacy to get treatment.
Exactly right.
You know, here's your chlamydia medication. Announce it. Talk about it next to grandma. And I think some 30,000 customers over the first 7 years have my personal mobile number, which is now a business, I guess. Yeah, COVID added the trust. It also encouraged public health to stop relying on fax machines and allow emails to work. 16% of Australians from 16 to 49 ever been tested. Like, not even once. So 16% have just been tested in their life. So 84% of that population never been tested.
James, welcome to the show.
Thanks for having me.
Very happy to have you here to talk about taboo subjects. Who doesn't like talking about taboo subjects? Are they really taboo, though? That's probably what we're going to kind of explore, because I think they're less taboo than perhaps they were. But for our audience, why don't you give us, in a relatively short sentence, how you would describe Hyphen? And I did say it is Hyphen, isn't it? It's not.
It's Hyphen Health, yep.
Yeah, I did want to make sure it's not described. And sometimes people spell these words in a funny way and then pronounce them. I was sure it was Hyphen. So tell us about Hyphen Health, you know, for the audience. What does Hyphen Health do?
Yeah, so Hyphen Health incorporates 4 brands, or virtual clinics, we call them, at each of our websites. Stigma Health, Prep Health, and Hey Fella are effectively Australia's largest sexual health service. Mm-hmm. And then our 4th brand is Roid Safe, which is a replica of the other model, but in steroid harm minimization for mostly men on performance and image enhancing drugs.
So that's people who are taking roids by choice. What about peptides as well, which seems to be the talk of the town at the moment?
Yeah, and peptides are booming around the world, and it's not something we're prescribing. There's no prescribing in that service, but we are doing checks on and focusing on the guys who are doing unprescribed and illegal. And for that reason, being illegal, that they can go to the doctor and be refused healthcare.
Is that right? I did not know that.
Responses like the doctor doesn't want to support their habit or support their health effectively, but which is just wrong, because they still need healthcare. And it's not just as easy as giving up. Like, there's psychological issues, there's addiction. Yeah, it's very important.
So you're telling me that your right to healthcare can be denied if you're doing something that's illegal?
It shouldn't be, but it's known to be.
Don't you take an oath as a doctor of some sorts? Isn't there something like that? Isn't that against that?
Yeah, they do, but then there's just so much regulation and backlash, and they're risk averse, and that comes ahead of the patient, unfortunately, in many situations.
That's shocking.
Not all situations, but man.
We'll come back to that. All right, well, let's go a little bit back to yourself. So obviously, we did some research on you, and I did some research on. Well, I didn't actually. My producer did some research. I read the research. I did do a little, but hospitality into health, unusual scenario.
Yeah.
Talk to me a little bit about that. Obviously, you know, you're a founder now, and you had run a number of hospitality, and you know, there's very much a founder mentality in all of hospitality. How did that come about? You know, how do you end up going from essentially feeding and making people feel good to talking about sexual health? There's a big jump there.
Well, before that, I was a ADHD accountant, so I wasn't very good at the tax accounting. I mean, I love the numbers, I love that stuff, but sitting there and doing, it's meticulous. It's just and draining. I couldn't sit at the desk. And then I did accounting because I love business, and I believe business is a vehicle to help the world. And success in business is a reflection of how much you're helping people. And so, and then I wanted to help people drink, basically. No, I started with a cafe. It was just a vacant spot. I lived in the suburb, saw a need.
Was that your energy that kind of drove you into that? Something where you're going to be running around the whole time?
Just wanted my own business. Yeah. Well, yeah. I guess I had never really worked in hospitality. That's a lie. I'd worked at McDonald's. I did some bar work in the UK.
I'm not sure we could call that hospitality.
Systems though, and stuff that I should have taken into my restaurant better. But my first restaurant just succeeded beyond my wildest dreams. I was earning 4 times the income I was as an accountant, and I was single and just probably partied too much as a new business owner and blew it.
Why do you think it was though? Why do you think it succeeded so well?
I thought it was because of me, because I was
24. That's the founder mindset, right?
Yeah, and then I opened a second one and started going backwards and realised, the first one was succeeded because we had the location. We had, we were in Merriweather in Newcastle, top suburb. You could charge a bit more, so you had a higher premium on the food. We had cheap rent because we did the refurb. We just got so much right by accident. And I opened that restaurant. I didn't even know they prepared food. I was just so ignorant, which is probably why I opened it too. So
ignorance is bliss. Ignorance is definitely, but in hospitality, I can assure you, having my little step into it, ignorance is definitely bliss. It's
definitely bliss. Yeah. And then the second venue, I was a nighttime venue as well. So I was then working 6 a.m. to midnight and losing money. So all the profit I was making and going out for dinner every night of the week, I now couldn't go out for dinner because I was working at nights and I also had no money. So, and then at hospitality, I then opened another restaurant, which was successful, to try and dig my way out of that hole because I thought that's how you do it.
Did you close the other two or did you have all three?
I had all three.
Wow.
Opened another one. Eventually I got locked out of one. It was just a debacle. But
all in Newcastle area?
Yeah. And ultimately the new restaurants after the second one were good restaurants. It's just undercapitalized and I was in debt from the second restaurant. So,
but you didn't shut the second one?
I didn't. I should have liquidated it. Yeah. I actually sold the first one, the successful one, because I was like, you can't sell a failing business, but I should have just liquidated it.
Yeah.
The second one and kept the profitable one because you just don't get the multiple in a restaurant either. I think it was like 1 time's earnings. And
that's terrible.
It's great. Yeah.
What's no point in selling it?
Yeah. and then I no longer have money to pay my bills.
Yeah.
So it was a lot of lessons. And then hospitality, I think at one point we had 300 staff.
Wow.
Across five restaurants and a bistro, and it was great. It was fun, but I just wasn't making money. I was going backwards, and I wanted to do something more scalable. So I was always following startups, and that's what started with Stigma Health, and that's where I was meant to go.
And where did the idea for that come from?
So my first cafe was across the road from my doctor's, handy. I went into an appointment at 11 a.m. and they didn't see me till 1 p.m. And so I just watched my cafe struggle across the road with, I could watch it through the window.
Yeah.
And I was just like, there's got to be a better way to get medicine, right? And I lived in Merewether too. All the doctors in Newcastle live in Merewether. It's by the beach. It's the place to live. I shouldn't say all, but I knew a lot of them. Mm-hmm. And I was like, can't they just come write me this script after work? Yep. And the script, funnily enough, wasn't for sexual health or STIs. It would make a better story if it was.
I don't know if it would. Maybe.
Just a repeat script. And so we started building an Uber for doctors because 2015, everyone was building Uber for everything.
They were.
And then it transformed into, what's the internet great at? It's great at anonymity. It's great, which is what you want for sexual health. You don't want to talk to someone. And we found a real niche there, product market fit. And it's evolved now to be Australia's largest sexual health clinic between our 3 brands in sexual health.
So it's evolved, hasn't it, from that? So it's kind of been the same business all the way through to Hyphen, but it's not been the same business. Is that right? It's sort of evolved into that?
Yeah, very much so. It was just Stigma Health to begin with.
Yep.
It was very manual. We would refer a test. The patient would sign up. They'd pay. It was just me and my co-founder, Dr. Mitchell Tanner, GP out of Singleton. Mm-hmm. And he would then have to prepare the referral manually. And it would just, if he was busy, it would take a day, and that wasn't meant to. We weren't meant to muck people around. It was a manual process, and it wasn't until December 2019 we found true product market fit with our instant referral service. And by that stage, we really probably should have given the business away. Like, I don't know why we persevered. We had all these other life events going. We weren't giving the business any attention.
It was the heart of COVID as well, like 2019, right?
Well, 2019 was just before COVID, so we hit it product market fit 4 months before we needed to.
Right.
Because prior to COVID too, people would fill out the form, intimate details on their sexual health. They'd order and they'd pay, and then they'd email us straight away and go, is this a scam? But that conversation stopped after COVID. So people accepted using a doctor online. So
yeah, I mean, that would have transformed the business, right? I mean, you're talking about telehealth. Telehealth was always around, but it was skirting, and then it became a necessity, I guess.
Yeah, COVID added the trust. It also encouraged public health to stop relying on fax machines and allow emails to work.
Yep.
And it was such a benefit in so many ways. It brought healthcare into the 21st century.
It's amazing. And so now, obviously, here we are in 2025, nearly 2026, which is terrifying. You've scaled it. You become profitable, as we talked about. You did small rise at the beginning, but now you've been profitable the last few years. And a lot's happened this year. So you're in your, fifth, sixth year now, right? So that tends to be, I find, when companies really start to, bigger things start to happen. You build, it's hard, processes, getting everything right, mistakes, all that kind of stuff happens for a long time. And then suddenly you sort of hit that 5, and then same thing happens again, I think, when you hit 10. You suddenly get this next level kick in if you're still going. Is that where you're at?
Yeah. So look, we registered the company in 2015. So we served our first customer in 2016. So we hit that 10-year journey, and that's exactly where I feel we're at. We last 12 months, we have my co-founder has exited. It's been just quite the journey for him. It was amicable. He's left.
Why did he leave? What was the reason? Was it just time of life, or was it he just didn't want to do it anymore, or was it an opportunity to cash out, or what was the reason?
It was all the above, I think. Timing of life, yes, cash out. And then on top of that, there's just regulatory uncertainty, and he's a GP, and all doctors, I think, are discouraged from being entrepreneurial because to go outside of the lines, which you need to do to innovate, could shut their income down, shut their license down. And they've spent 10, 12 years studying. They're going to be risk averse.
Yeah.
So it was the combination of all the above. We had a lot of regulatory crackdowns on telehealth and asynchronous healthcare in particular, which is actually fundamental to our model. They focused on prescribing in that crackdown, though, which was a great outcome for us. But we didn't know. It was an existential crisis for the last 3 years, basically, until now.
I think the regulatory changes in health, it's worse than finance in a lot of ways, far, far worse. That is a brave thing to take on because, obviously hospitality has its regulatory things as well because you're feeding people and so forth, but health is wild. And then you're in a part of health that's ahead of the curve and they're trying to catch up, which means they're making regulatory changes without really thinking about them properly. Would that be right? That would be my guess.
Very much.
How have you dealt with that as a founder? Because and with a risk-adverse business partner until recently, obviously. That must be something that's quite a stressful thing. You never know what's coming around the corner.
I just dealt with it by being stressed. It's just keep going, right? It's we raised a bit of debt to help, just to so we could absorb any forced changes. We made the forced changes. It's when they catch up in the regulatory, they don't just catch up; they pull you back. Which is not great. They need to review how they do it and maybe embrace more of the positives of services like ours. But either way, we're dealing with it. We've transformed from a 4-person organization, 2 virtual assistants, and myself and a GP 2.5 years ago. So now there's 7 people in our leadership team. We've got a dozen doctors across the country. We're just transformed as we've grown and dealt with whatever was thrown in front of us.
It's significant. So talk to me about, I guess, from your perspective, from a customer's perspective, if I was to come and interact with you, so if I'm a customer and I come online, talk me through that experience so that people can really understand what it's like to interact with you. How would it work? So I'm coming online, I'm assuming I stick your website into my browser or phone or whatever it might be, or app. What happens from there?
Yeah, so you either find us organically or referred, or you go through search. Then we're there. You have the option then to book a bulk billed telehealth consult, which was also permitted by COVID, which was another great unlock. And that service is completely free, and you can speak to one of our doctors and request an STI test. Or we have our core product is an asynchronous service where you fill out a form, brief sexual health questionnaire, you get your referral instantly, you go to any pathology clinic Australia-wide. And that's been quite the process because you got to link with all these pathology companies in silos, but we've dealt with that for you. And then you go get tested and you have your results in 2 to 3 days.
So rather than having to make the appointment, go and see the doctor, get the referral, then you basically do it instantly, and you could go potentially that day or the next day.
You could be in the pathology clinic now and get your referral and just add that test on.
Fantastic. And then from there, once the test results come back, you're able to then prescribe whatever the relevant treatment is. Is that right?
Yep. Yeah. So you then, if you have a positive result, you speak to one of our doctors. That's bulk billed. They go through mandatory reporting, communicable diseases, and then they also will prescribe and arrange your treatment. And if they can't, we obviously can't do an injection through the internet yet, but we using, we can refer locally. We refer people locally.
And so if you're prescribing an oral drug or a cream or something, does that just get posted out? Is that how that works? Or do you go pick it up?
Don't do the fulfillment now. We do send the e-script.
Right. So you just take that e-script straight to the chemist, bang, you're done.
Yep.
And you said yet. So tell me, what's happening with injections? Are you essentially going to be able to get them at the pharmacy? Is that the idea, or?
There's a number of injections that have been done at the pharmacy. Sexual health, I don't think, is on the cards for that cause. But in terms of other prescriptions, we are working with fulfillment partners because the same reason you don't want to see a doctor in the first place, you might not want to walk into the pharmacy to get treatment.
Exactly right.
Here's your chlamydia medication. Announce it. Talk about it next to grandma and no. It's so just further discretion. And we facilitate fulfillment now for HIV prevention, PrEP. And 1 in 2 Australians on HIV preventative medication PrEP use our service or have used our service. And, they get their anonymous package and they get the option to market as medicine, which does provide more assurance of delivery, but which shouldn't be the way with freight companies, but that's the way it is. But if they want the discretion, they don't even have to put that sticker on. They just get a discreet package, their medication.
Away they go. And then from there on, is it an easy ongoing treatment? Do you just have another telehealth in 2 months, 3 months, whatever it might be, and then it's the same process ongoing?
It is for...
I guess most sexual health is treatable to a point of not having to be treated anymore. Not all of it, but most of it, right?
Yeah. But even the ones that aren't curable, or you live with, and there's plenty of people living with syphilis or it's traceable. It always stays in traceable. It is curable. Or HIV is like less of an impact on your life now than diabetes. So there's this huge stigma attached to it. Not attached to diabetes, but diabetes did have that stigma, I think, in the 50s. And earlier. But HIV is it's an easier to live with than diabetes.
God, isn't that a change?
Yeah.
Maybe that's just my age showing. Yeah. And so then how did you end up going into steroids? Where did that sort of come from? Were you just looking for new markets because you've done sexual health, which, as you said, does have a stigma to some degree, it was a natural progression? What else do people do that they shouldn't do or that they don't want to talk about? I guess it's probably more of a better way of putting it.
Yeah, so we've always looked at new markets, and stigma health actually initially was meant to be sexual health, mental health, and weight loss. We thought stigmatized health issues. Then we missed the GLPs. We haven't missed them. There's still an opportunity there, but we're not going at that yet.
Yep.
But then we organised blood tests, urine tests. People started requesting, can I get my testosterone added? Or they just were sneakily writing them on the referral we gave them, committing fraud.
Really?
Committing fraud, and they would get... Yeah, and then the doctor's like, you can't add tests to my referral. And some reason the pathology company were doing it. But anyway, different issue. And then I also had mates contact me for years, like, can you do these tests? And it never clicked on me why they wanted this stuff. And then when it did, I was like, oh yeah.
That makes sense.
And then there's harm minimization guidelines, and we just operate within that framework. It's not all the tests they want. It is the tests they need. And it's within those guidelines, so Medicare will cover that testing.
Yeah. Okay.
And we've got huge demand, and we actually, the hard part is finding the doctor workforce with experience in it, and being willing and able or interested in supporting the patients, because the same issues are there. Like, people don't want to support that demographic, or it is quite complex, so they don't understand it. And then, unfortunately, with the way risk works too in healthcare, and it's the same across all our businesses, you diagnose something, you're then responsible for it as a doctor. But what can you do if they're in Perth and you're online? But at the same time, if you didn't diagnose it, they're just out there undiagnosed.
Yeah.
So we've got a workforce that's quite empathetic and understanding and sees the need of our service. But I think we need to review the way that risk is associated, right? Our service is so important to the healthcare of Australians now. I think we diagnose 1 in 20 STIs across the country, saving lives with steroids. For steroid users daily, that risk just haunts our doctors, and it haunts innovation.
I'll bet. Well, let's touch on you've quoted me a few stats so far today. So let's touch on data. You've got enormous volumes of data, like you said. You've been going nearly 10 years. What do you do with that? Because data is becoming the most valuable asset in the world, bar water maybe in the future, but. What do you do with that? Do you communicate that back to the government? Do you produce reports? Do you just hold on to it? Are there any trends you want to share with us that I'd be intrigued to hear about? Talk to me about data.
Right now, we still don't do enough. I don't think we'll ever do enough. I love numbers. So, but we've got, well, there's press opportunity stories. Everyone loves to hear about rising STIs.
Or maybe not rising. Surely they would like to hear about falling.
It's
bad news culture.
It's usually going the other way. Except for in COVID, it was documented they were decreasing, but actually there was less testing. We're a bad news culture. But we know our impact's at least 1 in 20 STIs diagnosed Australia-wide. We are doing like only 1 in 30 tests Australia-wide. So that's, 1 in 15 tests Australia-wide. So our impact's there.
Yep.
We're diagnosing, I think in syphilis, we diagnosed 30% of the syphilis in Victoria. So state by state varies. But I don't have the most up-to-date statistics now because we've just done this huge data migration. So that's the big project at the moment. Just getting all that data in order.
Because you have so much data.
Yeah. And we're working with universities too to align that because we've got this research opportunity on, especially we know our services has efficacy. We'd like to prove it out academically and see what other opportunities can come out of that too.
Absolutely. You touched on there that you were doing a high percentage of tests in Victoria. I want to go into that a little bit in that obviously running a recruitment business, I see very different trends within states. And I think the biggest trend that I've seen since COVID has been the return to work, people returning to work. And we touched on this before we started recording because you guys are fully remote. But the reason I want to touch on it is that Victoria is still very, very working from home driven. Like if you look at Sydney and if you look at Brisbane, I think Brisbane's at 92% occupancy in the city. Like it's a huge culture. Sydney, it's very hybrid, but there's very few remote only and there's very few people who want remote only anymore as well in Sydney, interestingly enough. Whereas Victoria is still the opposite. You know, if you go into the city in the day, it is incredibly quiet. It hasn't bounced back. I think the social scene's still there and the sporting scene's still there. But from a working point of view, it's very, very quiet. Has that had an impact on the amount of testing you get? So what I mean is, obviously you're doing a telehealth remote thing with people returning to work in those other states. Are they still using your services much? Are you seeing greater testing in Victoria because people never leave home anymore? Or talk to me about that. I'm just interested.
Look, there's actually no correlation between it. So if you did a heat map of our patients, they follow the heat map of the population of Australia, right?
Yeah.
We've got the odd one in the middle of Australia, but you can see eastern suburbs of Sydney, it's the heat map of like where testing's happening.
Yeah.
In terms of Victoria and that syphilis, Victoria is a lot more condensed in the population, so I think there was just a rise in like a cluster.
Yeah.
And that's where I think we found the diagnosis is increasing. And I think Queensland's actually had a bit of a syphilis outbreak as well in the past 12 months. But they're a bit more spread out. So we're not necessarily diagnosing as much of that. So I think just the density of the population is where the impact is.
Interesting. I just wondered. I mean, I guess at the end of the day, the whole purpose of your facility and your service is anonymity, right? Which so it doesn't matter where you live or whether you're going to work or not. If you don't want anyone to know, you don't want anyone to know. So I suppose it shouldn't impact it.
Well, people use this for that anonymity. They use this for just convenience as well. Instant. It's the fastest healthcare service in Australia.
Yeah.
And then we just, the only issue we have is we don't know when you go to pathology unless you tell us, or unless we receive your results. So, then we just encourage patients to tell us they've been tested and then we can know when to follow up their results.
Okay. So you said lots of things have happened this year. We've touched on a couple. So you bought out your business partner. You bought them out yourself, is that right? Rather than bringing in someone else?
I bought them out myself. And then I also returned capital to one of our early angels. They just wanted an early exit.
Mm-hmm.
And then we acquired and merged with Hey Fella, which is gay doctors for gay men. Great service with Luke and Chris. And that was an awesome transaction. I brought on new co-founders with Luke and Chris.
But you're keeping the brands separate, correct?
We are for now. So we, all our brands are taboo. They're all high risk, and big tech is very conservative. Like we've always struggled with promotion on Meta. I know you can do it, and we're working it out, but we've been prone to having our account cancelled. So offering multiple brands sort of lets us a little bit of protection there. Similarly, like I know of organisations in our space that Stripe have stopped payments, and we've got 4 Stripe accounts. We've just got that flexibility, and then so if someone cracks down on one brand, we can survive.
You can push through the other. Yeah. Isn't it crazy that just because it's a taboo subject, they'll shut your Stripe payment down.
Yeah.
I mean, it's not like you can see what the taboo is. It's not like, or do they feel that you're using that taboo to hide criminal activity? Is that their reasoning? Because I just don't understand why they would do that.
The algorithms like to detect us as a abortion service, which shouldn't be any problem either. Like it's your body, your choice, but they then will give us that error issue, and then you have to defend it, and you're defending it to the algorithm first, or to the computer, to Google or Meta.
Yeah.
And then if sometimes it's just shut down before they even get reviewed by a person, or it's reviewed in India or the Philippines, and conservative cultures as well.
Yeah.
So it's not a win. That's where that's at.
And how have you found that transition from, co-founder that you've had pretty much since day one? So obviously they've gone. You've had it on your own for a while. Then you brought in other co-founders. Co-founding relationships are always interesting and challenging in different ways, and incredibly rewarding and helpful. How have you found that? Because you've gone from having a doctor to having a sort of more traditional doctor who was there from day one, to then building your business and owning it, and then bringing in, are they both doctors, the two gay guys who run the other business as well?
Luke's the CTO.
Right, CTO. So then bringing in co-founders who've got different skill sets, right? So how's that been for you, where you're suddenly, I guess, pushing some of your responsibilities to other co-founders?
It's been awesome.
I was hoping you were going to say that. Some people would hate it, other people would love it.
Yeah, I really, I do like the control. I do like to lead, but I do really like to do things in a team too.
Have you got time to go out for dinner again?
Yeah, I've always got time. Fortunate thing about being an accountant who runs an online sexual health clinic is I can't jump in and do most of the work.
No, definitely not.
I did do all the customer service, and I think some 30,000 customers over the first 7 years have my personal mobile number, which is now a business number. But I run a dual SIM. Occasionally, I still get a message, where are my results? And I'm like, I don't know anymore. I still do. I haven't removed myself that much from the picture, but yeah, it's just great to have a team and great to have that skill set. We were missing that as a tech-enabled health service. We haven't had that technical co-founder for 10 years.
Yeah, that's crazy. That is crazy.
We did pursue investment and strategic alignment over the last couple of years, but all the regulatory uncertainties really it's probably made it harder for me to have the conviction to go out and do it, to go out and do the raise and find the right partners. But now we've gotten through that period, and then Luke and Chris were facing the same issues of regulatory uncertainty, and we're through that now together. But at the same time, we both knew up front we could survive it as a team. It would be a lot easier than surviving it on our own.
Yeah.
And so we were ready for any pivot. But
how did you meet them? How did that come about?
Look, I reach out to all my competitors. If I see a new site, if they pop up and they're competing with us on AdWords or Meta, and I find them, and they're springing up all the time now, I reach out and explore collaboration. I definitely think we should be united. I think we're not going to change habits if this sexual health stays fragmented. And I think we want to take it all on. I think, that's part of the problem is even sexual health in Australia is fragmented at a state level, and public health, it stops at borders, and it's just having a nationwide organisation, hopefully a brand in our niche and Taboo is where we can go.
So if you're out there thinking about starting a platform, or you started it, get in touch, right?
Get in touch, or we'll knock you out.
Now, talk to me about, or knock you out. You said it in such a nice way. I hardly even noticed it. Talk to me about what's next. You're a profitable business. You've come together with others. Have we gone into a slightly less regulatory change environment now? Do you feel we've gone into a slightly calmer point because they have caught up with technology to a degree, or do you still see that as a massive challenge for you going forwards?
Regulatory will always be a challenge in healthcare. So I think, but we have got through a period now where we're not going to be, the existential crisis is just about gone.
Yep.
I could see some other regulatory changes that could force us back into this position, but we're basically diversifying our services a little bit, expanding around our niches, not diversifying out of our niches. We've made a vertical acquisition this year. We've made Luke and Chris, the merger and acquisition. We've got a team and an infrastructure now. We're looking at more acquisitions to bring on to support our organic growth as well, and bring on more capabilities and team members. We can also, there's lots of like one-man telehealth shops popping up everywhere all the time. And whereas they could come align with us and get a team and support and technical capabilities and do what they're good at. So I'm trying to find those situations. And we're just going to keep expanding. We've just got through with Australasian sexual health medicine. We were involved in co-designing that with public health and Australasian sexual health medicine, ASHM. They've designed a framework for offering sexual health by telehealth.
Yep.
And we've got the first certified clinic about to be announced. Wet clinic. Our clinics are all virtual, all online.
Yes.
But I refer to them as clinics. And so that certification is going to be huge and hopefully open up public health partnerships.
And this is the world first, right? World first. Am I right?
I believe it's a world first, yeah.
We heard it here. If it's not a world first, we're sorry, but we're pretty sure it is.
No, someone come and tell me otherwise, yeah. It's there's lots of people bundling telehealth frameworks on top of normal healthcare, which I don't think works. I think it does deserve its own space and forum and more regulation. I'm encouraging red tape there, but it's it's a world first. It's a great opportunity, and hopefully it opens the doors with public health because we're a lot more efficient. You know, we're doing our impact, and we're only 3 million revenue. And every state spends a lot more than 3 million on sexual health, and our impact is bigger than any state public health unit.
So you're hoping that this will enable you to potentially roll out, would it be your systems and technology into public? Is that the thought process?
Yeah, and a triage and offload some of the demands so they can focus on the infections. You know, we could do the diagnosis, they can do the treatments.
Yeah.
And we bulk bill, so they're not cheaper than us.
No.
And we have a paid instant option. They're not more convenient than us. And they're Melbourne sexual health are super inundated, and they've just shut their doors to walk-ins. You've got to be appointment only, and that's a big culture shock because they used to have a lineup out the front. I don't know who wants to line up to a sexual health clinic.
Yeah, well, I guess.
But, I mean, you should line up to a sexual health clinic, but the taboo's there.
Yeah.
And so that's a big opportunity as well. Just offloading that demand and taking control.
Look, there's been a huge shift, I think, globally and culturally around being more preventative and less treatment focused. Doesn't mean you shouldn't do the treatment, obviously, but is that something that you're looking into as well in terms of looking at how you can potentially prevent some of these problems happening?
Well, sexual health screening testing is all about preventative, right? So 9 in 10 customers that use our service are asymptomatic.
Yep.
And
is that right?
We only diagnose 1 in 10.
Is that right? Gosh, I would have thought it would have been. I would have thought if you've gone to the trouble, it would be higher. I just figured it would be higher.
I need to rephrase that. Sorry. 9 in 10 of our customers are asymptomatic, and we're diagnosing 1 in 10 of our customers with an STI.
Yep.
And with that, asymptomatic testing is like many people never present with symptoms, and that's why it is so contagious.
Right.
You're just passing around to someone, and then
no one knows.
You'll show symptoms when you've got low immunity or you're struck down with the flu or something. Then you might have symptoms. But if your body's well, it can actually beat most STIs, but it takes time.
I didn't know that either.
But if you're already out there in the market,
while
your body's healing, you're spreading, and it's just compounding the problem for society. So
interesting. What are you most excited about moving forwards now? Because I feel like like you said, you've had the buyouts, you're profitable, you've got this new accreditation. You know, there's a lot that sort of happened. You've hit this 10-year mark. When you sit here today, and or when you came down, you came down from Newcastle today. When you were on your way down here on that journey, other than thinking about what you were going to talk about today, what do you think is the most exciting thing for you as a business going forwards, and you as a founder as well?
Just this opportunity in front of us. There's still chronic under-testing. We're massive contribution to society with the ability to increase that testing. It was recently published 16% of Australians from 16 to 49 have ever been tested. Like not even once. Like 16% have just been tested in their life. So 84% of that population never been tested. And so I'm excited about what we're gonna got the opportunity. We've got the license to scale now. We've got through regulatory uncertainty.
Yep.
We're capitalized. We should be with the bank's help. And we've got profitable and cash flow, and we're growing, and we've got the ASHM license. Like everything's lined up for us to grow.
Yeah, amazing. Well, look, I think it's a very, I guess, incredible journey that you've been on. It's such an unusual thing to go into, but then to have gone through COVID, which obviously helped, but then the regulatory changes, the turmoil of founders and all that. You've had a lot of founder experiences in the 10 years. The fact that you're still just as excited about taking it to the next level, and the fact that opportunity is still so big is massive. Is there any opportunity globally or outside of it? Is it just too complicated to go outside of Australia? Again, obviously from a regulatory, it's so different in every country, right? Or is that something that you've considered?
Yeah, my pitch over the last 10 years has always been that ambition to go overseas. And just as I believe there should be a sexual health brand in Australia, we support so many travelers. It'd be amazing as a young person to just know Stigma Health's the McDonald's of healthcare. I can go get tested anywhere in the world with that. And so it's still on our ambitions, but Australia focus, because the way we operate with our Medicare system, it's very fundamental to how we are. Doesn't mean we can't build a brand. And then we're exposing other people here when they do travel. We're lucky we do get some travelers in Australia. But expansion overseas is definitely not now a 3-year plan.
No.
We have looked at strategic partnerships to do it. But yeah, that's probably our other thing we're excited about is potentially next 3 years for strategic partnerships.
Yeah.
So
fantastic.
Yeah.
Well, James, well done. I mean, I'm impressed. I really am. I mean, you've really grown that business in something that's not traditionally an easy thing to do, and that's both 1, stigmatized products, 2, healthcare, and 3, online. You know, those 3 combined, you really put yourself in the mixer there. So well done. Well done for being profitable, and well done for getting through all the regulatory changes and that obviously accreditation you've just done. We will definitely get you back in a couple of years to see where you're at. We've started doing that with a lot of our guests now, getting them back 2 years later, and it's so interesting to see how much can happen in 2 years. So I wish you the best. If there's anything you want to pass on to our audience, is there any, talk to me about working for you guys. You're going to grow. If someone's ever going to come and work for you, what would they expect? What's it like to work for Hyphen?
We really prioritize our employees' well-being. Even though it's all remote, it's very heavy. You can be talking to very stressed out people all day. They're very anxious for those results, even without symptoms. Like, people come to us anxious. And so we offer like mental health days. We've got an RDO that's non-accrual. They just take a day a month for themselves. And then they've got the flexi time, almost completely flexi time. We're very family positive, which is really important to me, father of 4. So
goodness.
Yeah, I need to be flexible. So anyone who wants to work for us, I think they should know they'll be looked after. Not that we're actively recruiting a lot of roles at the moment. Being scalable, we can run pretty lean. But yeah, in terms of, I think I've answered that.
I think you have to. Last question.
Sorry.
Last question. If you're out there and you've got any kind of worry about sexual health, just get online and get into it, right? As simple as that. It's a quick, easy process. Yeah,
there's my message for everyone. It's just go get tested, because chances are you need it. Statistically, you do need to get tested because you've never been tested.
So if you've never been tested, I've never been tested. There you go. You should go and get tested.
Yeah, you should. There are different situations that could fall into exemptions, but as a rule, it would be really good for the population if everyone just went and got tested.
Fantastic. Thanks very much.
Thank you.